Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much everyone for coming for this program. Today is the Ram Navami special Ram Navami celebrations we are doing today. Prabhuji will be talking about Ram Navami, pastimes of Lord Ramchandra. Then if you have any questions, you can answer, or you can ask any questions after that. We have a special guest. His name is Rohinipriya Prabhu. He is a graduate in Doctor of Medicine from the Mumbai University and Mumbai. And he has been practicing Krishna consciousness for the last 20 years, and he is the vice president of his Chapati temple in Mumbai. So very, very honored and fortunate to have Prabhu here. So I welcome Prabhu onto the stage. Hare Krishna. I think also I can request everyone to come forward so that if anyone coming later, they can sit on the back. You can sit on the front rows. Thank you.
Thank you very much for bringing me here to this community. I'm not really sure if these lights are meant to put me into some kind of blinded illusion. That's the effect that I'm having right now. Especially these two.
Oh, okay. Can we
Is it,
turn that off? Okay.
is it possible that
Yes,
we do
yes, we
something
can do
about
that.
them?
Yes, yes, we'll do that.
Yeah, because if I occasionally look up, then I'm not able to see who's here. It's all Brahman effulgence. So let me begin by invoking the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and of our spiritual teachers. And then we'll discuss about personalities in Lord Ram's life or from his descriptions that have been given about him in the Ramayana. The Ramayana is very well known and well read in India and even beyond the shores of India. The Ramayana has found a lot of acceptance, especially in terms of the lessons that can be learned from this great epic. First, let me chant my prayers, and then we'll delve into the glorious mysteries and messages from this great ancient Indian epic, Sri Valmiki Ramayana. Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is the first occasion in my entire life that I have come to Omaha. And when I had the opportunity, or this opportunity availed itself, I could relate to this city because growing up as a young student, I would read about the different kind of wars that had happened in the past, and I remembered about D-Day, June the 6th, 1944, when hordes of Allied troops landed in France. So they had different platoons, and each of those platoons had a particular task to perform. They had different sectors that they had to overcome, and one of the sectors was Omaha, the Omaha sector. So I was very much interested in knowing what it is all about. Then I realized that it was just one of the names given so that people could relate to it. So when I landed in the city today morning, I was looking if there could be some army installations, encampments around, because that was the impression etched in my mind, in my consciousness. And I wouldn't say it was a bit of a letdown, but that I didn't find. I asked my hosts that whether this is a historical city, is there any historical reference for the city? It seems there is none. Nonetheless, that is how Omaha and me, we felt we had a connection. I felt there was a connection. Anyways, I'm indeed very happy to be here, especially at this Hindu temple, this facility. I stay in India, I grew up in India. So to be about 8,000 miles away from India and get Indian food is great. At the same time, when I find that I can communicate with people based on what culture, based on the ideas of a culture that I am very comfortable with, or I can very easily discuss on, is also helpful. In other words, what I'm saying is that to be able to come to this wonderful country and to be having the facility to engage in topics that I have spent a lifetime of quite many years researching, understanding, is very comfortable. So thank you for letting me have this facility. And thank you for showing your inclination by being present here. It is very motivating, inspiring. So most of the members of the audience, from where I am sitting, it appears that most of you all have definitely heard about the glories of Lord Ram. And most probably you have also imparted that unto your children to a certain extent. So it's not a new story, it's not a new understanding, something different that we are going to hear about Lord Ram as that we are already accustomed to hearing. A great king, he was the son of the emperor of the earth, had certain challenges in his life, difficult situations. Wading through such troubled waters, his divinity was also revealed, as well as the human side from which we draw lessons. His greatest challenge was his rival, not exactly his rival, but an egoistic person who wanted to establish his supremacy all over the universe, of the name Ravan. So a great detail has been spent in discussing the advent of Lord Ram and the advent of Ravan. Their family lineage, their education, their upbringing. This has been studied and offered for research in the Ramayana, the Valmiki Ramayana. So let us start from where the Valmiki Ramayana describes the advent of Lord Ram. Dashrath was the name of the emperor of the earth. He didn't have any heir. So he was very anxious. He sought consultation from wise men. They advised him to perform a sacrifice. But the sacrifice had to be performed by someone who was very, very expert in the sacrifice. And such expertise was not easily to be found. So Dashrath Maharaj did a Google search. But who can do the sacrifice? He needed to do a Putreshti Yajna and Ashwamedh Yajna. Well, he was advised to perform an Ashwamedh Yajna, but later on he came to know that he also has to do a Putreshti Yajna. So he had few applicants for this job, but none of them were actually up to it. So he didn't know what to do. Where do I find a personality that can actually perform this sacrifice? So this sacrifice is not uncommon, or rather it wasn't uncommon. But it's not a mechanical effort. Sacrifices are like video games on your smartphones or your iPad. Just because the battery dies down, the mechanical way is to plug in your machine into a socket so that the battery gets charged. Because if the battery doesn't have sufficient juice in it, your apps won't work. So no one thinks twice about plugging in their machine. Do you really have to think about how to do it? Work out a strategy for it? You just take your cord and plug it in. But then to play your game, you have to be alert. You have to be there. You have to be focused. Now obviously we made the point that as you're playing your game, you're focused, but if your battery juice is running down, you need to plug in. So that's mechanical. The plugging part is mechanical. But playing the game has to be done individually, carefully, paying attention to it. So similarly, a yajna, Ashwamedh yajna, or any kind of sacrifice, the procedure of the sacrifice can be mechanically understood. But to perform the sacrifice, the individual player has to be expert at it, adept at it. It's not that any player will do. Hence, if your child, your son or your daughter is very good at the game and you and your son sit down to play the game and the son is expert, then you're a goner, you lose. And it doesn't matter if you're older than your son. It doesn't matter that you are the person who actually is working and earning the money and the son is simply dependent on you. The son is expert right there. So the son can do better than the father. So what makes one perform well is one's expertise at that moment. So similarly, Dashrath Maharaj needed to find an expert player for this sacrifice. He found no one. And those that he knew of, those who were recommended, fell short of the mark. So he really was desperate. And then one of his close aides, his closest advisor, he reminded him of a prophecy long ago. A prophecy that had been made long, long back. And one of the aspects of this prophecy was that he had to look out for a particular gentleman. It had been prophesied that at one point of time he would need to perform a sacrifice to get an heir. But as time rolled on, the prophecy was forgotten. So he was reminded of it. And he was advised that this is how you can get the person who can perform this sacrifice. So he goes, and somehow or the other, he gets this person. His name is Rishya. Rishi Muni, was highly qualified, but somehow or the other he hadn't applied for any jobs as yet. Therefore, his profile was to be found nowhere. He wasn't on LinkedIn. He wasn't on any other sites where you put in your resume. He had no resume actually. He was so qualified and still so innocent that he had no idea that his qualification was that he was qualified to have a job. And he had no idea what a job means. So Dashrath Maharaj had this difficult task. How to convince someone that you are qualified for this particular position and this is what you are supposed to do. Because the person has no idea of the existence of a system like that. Nonetheless, being an expert king and administrator, he managed to get Rishya to his kingdom, perform the sacrifice, and the result of the sacrifice was that his queens became pregnant. And very soon he had 4 sons, the eldest being Lord Ram. Soon these children grew up. They were young men, each glorious in his own right, magnificent qualities. Everyone loved them. They were very gentle, peaceful, well-built, expert in all the arts of administration. So many ways, all good qualities were decorating the personality. Each one of them. Still, the crest jewel of all the brothers was Lord Ram. Everyone, all the other 3 brothers, the siblings, they were not just younger to him, but they revered him. They loved him more than their own lives. There was much love and affection amongst the siblings. Then they get married. Their wives come to stay with them in their capital city, Ayodhya. Dashrath Maharaj, King Dashrath, is quite old, and he feels this is the right time for me to retire and install my eldest son Ram as a king. So he sent out a feeler amongst his citizens. He wanted to get a feedback from them. So each one of his citizens, they had to, a particular form was sent to them and they had to answer certain questions, which would ultimately make them understand, make the king understand if his choice of Lord Ram as the next king was appropriate or not. Did his citizens agree to this or not? The response that came back was so overwhelming that for a moment King Dasharath thought, or Emperor Dasharath thought, that maybe my citizens love my son more than they love me. So now, an understanding like that sometimes can cause depression. So Dasharath Maharaj was a bit depressed. King Dasharath was feeling, have I been a burden to my citizen? Were they simply tolerating me? Because he had ruled over his subjects for a long, long time. So he had misgivings about himself. So he addressed his citizens that how is it that you have expressed your overwhelming love for Lord Ram, for my son Ram, in such a way that you have never expressed such affection even for me through all these years. And the citizens said, my dear king, we were so happy under your care that we were always praying that let our king live eternally. And then your son, who seems to be the reservoir of all good qualities, appeared. We had a difficult choice to make. And they gave a very nice analogy. They said, the choice was it was as if one had to choose between the moon on the 14th day of the bright phase or the moon on the full moon night. It was between choosing the moon on Purnima or on Chaturthi. Lord Ram is like the full moon on Purnima and you are like the moon on the 14th night of the bright phase of the moon, of the Shukla Paksh. So then Dasharath Maharaj felt relieved. Okay, my citizens actually love me and I am very happy that my son, he has captured their minds and they are happy with accepting him. So he wanted to install him as the Prince Regent and then later on he would be the Emperor once King Dasharath retired. Before that could happen, there were certain political happenings in the royal family, the result of which was that within the span of the night, just one night before he would be crowned as Prince Regent, within that night, from being the prospective Prince Regent, he became a pauper. He had to renounce everything willingly, renounce his wealth, renounce his family, he had to renounce his kingdom and renounce all claim to the throne. So Lord Ram thought for a moment and said, well, this seems just like the book titled The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Have you read that book? There was a gentleman somewhere here in the United States, and one day he just threw his house keys and his car keys, and he had left behind all of his credit cards in his house, and he just walked on. He didn't know where he was going, except he had a ticket to India. Other than that, he had nothing else. He landed in Delhi, went to the Himalayas, spent some time there. Then he came back and wrote his book. The monk who sold his Ferrari. Lord Ram said, "Oh, I don't have a Ferrari to sell, but I have a kingdom. I have a future, a career." He gave it up. Why did he give it up? Because he honored his father's words more than anything else in this world. Ideas like that seem so archaic. It's as if they were living in the dinosaur age. Just imagine honoring someone's words more than your own life. Where does one hear that? Not even in the cartoons anymore. Anyways, these are times where honor meant a lot to those who lived in that era. So for 14 years, 14 long years, 4, 7, 365, 14. He had to stay in the forest far away from any city, any village. He had to live as a forest dweller. Just imagine for someone who grew up with Walmart around him, how easy that would be. Walmart, credit cards, servants. 14 long years he had to live like that. And during the 14th year of his exile, this powerful, egoistic man, Ravana, stole away his wife, stole away Lord Ram's young wife. It's like someone stealing away your personal information from one of the data sites. How are you going to feel? And they spam you, they're stealing away all of your personal information. The pain that one feels, or the indignation that one has, multiply that thousands of times over. Lord Ram had feelings of separation from his wife Sita. But he's a forest dweller. And in forest, there is no good network. You cannot log in because there is no internet connection. So although he had a GPS machine, he didn't know how to operate it because it was inoperable. And although Mother Sita had a tracer on her, but in the forest, it didn't work. So he had no idea where she was. And finally, he meets up with a monkey king. And this is where the story really becomes a little difficult to accept. Monkey kings. Now the Lion King we know of, Simba, the Lion King. But Monkey King, maybe Disney did not come up with that as of yet. We should tell Disney, hey, there's enough material here, masala, for you. The Monkey King, Sugriva, they made a pact of friendship. Do unto me as you would have me do unto you. They had this pact. friend in need is a friend indeed. All the proverbs that you've heard of about friendship, all of that was encapsulated in this pact that Lord Ram had with Sugriva. And according to the pact, Sugriva sent his expert, well-trained spies in all directions. They were very good at gathering information. They could go into territories and into lands that no one dare venture into. The likes of Angad, Jambavan, Nala, Neela, Hanuman. Each one is a super black cat. Or the Navy SEAL, right? That's how. Expert in self-defense, good at gathering information. They are like the original James Bond, each one of them. So they had to go and find information. They were given 4 months' time. Not a single one of them had a clue as to where Sita was taken. They hadn't the faintest of the idea. All of their dogs, the sniffer dogs, they are canines. You know the canine team? Or the canine, or the CANINE, not those types, but K as in kilo, 9. I quite often meet them when I am at international airports. They come and sniff around you and sniff around your luggage. I was at the Heathrow airport and the person in front of me, suddenly the dog went sniff, 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 sniff. Really wanting to put its nose into his business. The dog was poking its nose into the business of this gentleman in front